Hello, Oracles. What is going on? Lucky 13. 13 days in a row, Tesla has been green. Never have we been in this place before. So let's keep on riding this out. We're going to get into some of the discussions as to why we got our CPI data in today. We'll take a look at the charts. Hopefully, I just updated my Weeble, so hopefully I can get in there and take a look at that. But awesome stuff. So very excited about seeing what is going on in Tesla stock, and looking at close to that, filling that $262 gap. So much exciting stuff. Sorry, I'm working on some other things too I want to show you guys. So let me jump onto that, and I will. Let me see here. That's what I wanted. There we go. All right, looking at this. Excellent, good stuff. All right, where are we at here? Chaddock, what is going on, my friend? Karav, yes. Hanif, how are you doing, my friend? Katie, how are you? Very exciting day today. Let me see if my Weeble is working now. Hold on uno momento. Let's get into here. And I'll show you guys what we got for CPI today. So CPI coming in better than expected. So we were expecting a 4.1%, and we got a 4% year over year. So that was fantastic. Nope, I can't show you the charts today. I've got to update that. We'll get to it tomorrow. What's going on, Roger? How are you? Toronto, how's it going up there? How are I know the fires and smoke were near you guys. How's it going up in that area? I know down here we've had a lot of clearing, and then some rain came through. So I'm hoping that made its way up to Canada, Nova Scotia, and up there to help you guys out. How's it going, Felipe? Dean, is your Tesla share price target still 846 by the end of 2023? That actually changed a while ago. 846 was pre-split. And so doing the math on that, it's actually, hold on, let me see. Math hard right now. So if we do that, no, it's actually a little bit lower than that. So if we go with a split, that'd be 282. So I'm looking at 247 right now for end of the year. So at this point right now, most analysts, when they give a price target, are 12-month price targets. So mine are typically end of year price targets, roughly. I could do 12-month, but I just do end of year. But now that we're in June, doing an end of this year, the closer we get to the end of the year, the more difficult it gets. It's just like looking at the market. Long-term thesis in Tesla, it's most likely going to go up. Where it goes up to, we don't know. But there's a very good chance it will be up from where it is today. So when you look at long term, it's a lot easier to predict a projection as to where the stock is going to go. When you're looking at the near term, there's a lot of other factors that come into play, market manipulation, so much other stuff. So the closer we get to the end of the year, the more difficult it gets to predict a price target. So right now I'm still holding with 247, but we got CPI today. Again, we came in at 4% versus a 4.1%. We came in at a 0.1% month over month versus a 0.2% month over month expected. So that's leading me to believe that, these are the numbers that we want to see. We're coming down with inflation. The Fed may pivot earlier, maybe not. Maybe we hit, this pullback a little bit sooner than I'm expecting. So the price target really depends on a lot of macro stuff going on right now, and that's still very unpredictable. So as of right now, that's where my thought process is, but I'm still holding my 247. And again, we'll see where we go from here. What's going on, Isaac? Roger, rain put a temporary damper for now. Excellent. Good. Air finally more breathable. Excellent. I'm glad that's going good for you guys up there. Hopefully we get some more rain. I know we're supposed to get some storms coming through here tomorrow. I'm in Connecticut, so hopefully some of those make it up your way and the storms don't actually cause more fires, because I know they have a potential to do that with the lightning. So looking out for you guys up there. Hope everything turns out well. Yes, Raymond, another great day. Tesla share rose much more than broader market. Yes, it did. Could be insurance data from China indicate strong deliveries. So here's the thing. So actually, I didn't even see that. I'm going to have to check those deliveries. I was very short-handed at work today, so I didn't get a chance to look at a lot of stuff. But yeah, so looking at the broader market, and here's a couple of ways people look at stock movements like this. Sometimes when we get movements in the stock like it's been going right now, whether it's up or down, whether it's Tesla or the broader market or whatever, sometimes you can see, yes, this is definitely the reason why the stock market moved in the direction it moved. Like today, we got the CPI data that came in, beating expectations. It went up as expected. Now, tomorrow, we have PPI and the FOMC meeting. This could be a sell the news situation where we expected all of these things to transpire. They did. And then we sell off afterwards. We also have quad witching going on Friday. In other scenarios, sometimes we see a stock move and we're not really sure why. So we go and try to find reasons as to why it moved, when in reality, it could be market manipulation, could be a multitude of other things that, it's just moving in that direction. So really don't know which way we're going here. And here we go. Karav, yep. Tesla China is doing awesome. Sales are at 26,000 for the first 11 days of June. Phenomenal. And just a reminder, when it comes to domestic deliveries for China, those are usually heavily focused on in the last month of the quarter, which is where we are at the last month of the quarter. Now, the benefit of having Berlin up and running is they are exporting less and less over to Europe because Berlin is picking up a lot of the slack. The more time goes by, the less Shanghai has to do exports over there. Less exports from Shanghai over to Berlin means more domestic deliveries, and that's going to be better cost because they don't have to incur all of those shipping costs to get the vehicles over to Europe. So when it comes down to the operational margins, which is what we had spoken about previously on other earnings calls, that's what we really want to focus on. Vehicle margins may come down, but what are operating margins at? Operating margins will most likely be going up because you have multiple factories that are now ramping. We're getting to economies of scale at more than one factory. When you have that going for you, logistic costs are going to end up coming down significantly. We're going to see a lot of that going on. Why not 365 days straight? Can we make it 14? So tomorrow's going to be the big question. So tomorrow being 14, being PPI, which I don't know if PPI is really going to make a difference with FOMC. I think PPI is just going to be kind of like a bookmark. But the FOMC meeting is what is truly going to change this. What Jerome Powell says, if they do end up saying that they're going to pause, this could be one of those scenarios where the Fed pauses, the market continues to rally with a big short squeeze going into the end of the week. We get to quad witching and then a massive sell-off Friday. We are due for one. Now, not to be bearish or anything, but we're due for a healthy pullback. We are due for that. So I'm still looking at the fact that we may get pullbacks and kind of, again, do that reverse dead cat bounce where we see this nice run up, we then cool off a little bit, thin out, and then run up again. So even with the intraday movements I have been seeing in several stocks, we're seeing a lot of that action going on. Palantir has been doing that very much recently. Ran up to almost $17, pulled back into the 14s. Now it's back into the 16s. So, we're seeing a lot of this going on. So paying attention to levels like, 250 took us a while to break through. We broke through it today. Then we've got 262. We started pushing up to that where the gap is at. So if we end up breaking through that, then we're pushing 270. For those of you who remember when we were pulling down, when we bounced off of 314 a few times, we could not break through it that third time. That's usually when you're paying attention to that third bounce. If you can break through on the third bounce, you can continue going up nicely. If you do not break it on that third bounce, you're most likely going to fall far back. 314 to $100 is pretty darn far to fall. So we fell significantly. But as we fell down that time, every single level that I had on my charts, we hit on basically closed at that level on a day and then fell down to the next level the next day. But we only stayed there for a day. We may see that same process on the way up if we get all the information we want and we continue this upward trend. As we go up, if we hit these levels, it'll most likely be we hit a level, stop at it. Like 272 is one of the levels, 280. Again, I got to get my charts up to show you guys. I'll try to do that tomorrow night. But we'll come up and we'll hit that level, stop at it. Then we'll push through the next day, stop at the next level. Basically, what we've been seeing most recently with the stock is going up, hitting a level, pushing up pre-market, going up to the next level. I mean, pre-market right now, we're pushing 261. So we could be on this upward trend for a little while. Again, I'm not going to be upset with that whatsoever, but I think that could be what we're doing right now. Felipe, tomorrow, what do you think will happen? Yeah, so I ran through some of it right there. I do think the Fed's going to pause. Looking at the information from CPI today, core inflation came in at expectations at 5.3%. So those numbers there are a little bit higher than the normal inflation, but normal inflation down to 4%. That's not as high as it was. We're still trending in the right direction. So we're moving right. So we started the downward trend in the CPI. I believe it was last July was the first downward trend. So we're basically 11 or 12 months solid now in a downward trend for inflation. This is good. We still have another 2% to go when it comes to inflation. The Fed wants to get that down to 2%. Now, we also want to make sure that the month over month is at a 2% as well. So moving these things down in that direction, we're getting there. So it's just a matter of, can we keep this going, and how long is the Fed going to keep interest rates higher to keep that? Tesla split in 2024. I don't know if we're going to be 2024, Hanif. I think, if anything, based upon what Elon and the team see, if we do get this pullback, again, Fed pauses, when the Fed pivots, could be because we could be in a recession of some sort. So if we are in that case and we see that pullback, then we will most likely see a buyback coming at that point. So we'd see a buyback coming during that pullback in that recessionary time. Then we would probably go into 2025 after the market rallies and everything. So once the market rallies and Tesla starts pushing back over to all-time highs, $500, $600, $700, that could be in that 2025 range where we would end up seeing a split. What is going on, digital? Hello, David. So many of you joining tonight. I love this. I love seeing you all on here. Hey, Bobby, how are you? Heavy rain in St. Thomas. Oh, I want to go to St. Thomas. That's so nice. Kathy Wood should some Tesla to rebalance. I'm not sure. Buy seems to be a bit premature. I guess she is just following a 10% rule. Yeah. Oh, it's sold. Yeah, she sold some of her Tesla. So for those of you guys who know, if you see it, ARK, Kathy, and all of her funds, they sold quite a bit. Now, again, they keep a strict 10% rule. They can't have 10% in any of their funds be more than, or any of their stocks be more than 10%. So we've seen this in the past with ARK. We see Tesla running significantly more than the market, significantly more than all of the other stocks in their portfolio. That pushes them past 10%. So they sell out of that stock, and then they put it into other positions. And then again, if Tesla continues to run more, they'll sell out more. That's just how they operate over there. Does not change their conviction on the stock. Their long-term thesis is still extremely strong for Tesla. They just follow their own rules for their portfolio, and that is strictly it. So when you do look at this, though, in the past, historically, Kathy's been pretty good about following this and timing where, I don't want to say the top is, but kind of thinning things out when we get to a peak, and then it comes down from there. We have gone up again after that. We have pulled down after that. But again, she's also been one to, when its stock pulls down, she's bought at some of the bottom dips. So just something to pay attention to as we see it. PowerPoint, I did sell a couple closer options today to have gas in the tank if we drop. Yeah. No guarantee the Fed won't raise rates. That's true. There's no guarantee they won't. They've basically done what they've said all along, and they kind of alluded to a pause coming. So I'm anticipating a pause. But if we get a 25 basis point hike, forget any upward trend. We're coming straight down. It's sad to say, but if the Fed does end up raising rates, we'll come straight down. Every growth stock that's out there is just going to take a hammering and a beating. Everything that's basically been running over the last month is going to just get smashed. And something I thought about earlier today is today's the 13th. So basically every single day of June so far, Tesla's been green. Every single day. It's phenomenal. But that's just kind of where we're at the moment, is macro related, macro driven. But hey, you know what? I would love to see us keep on running from here. But there's nothing wrong with taking some off the table, getting yourself some things, because guess what? Depending on your strategy, I'm long term. Again, my main portfolio, not selling. My IRA, I already sold. And yes, I sold between 150 and 200. Hey, I didn't make as many profits as I could. I made good profits, but I missed out on a bit more upside. Shame on me. Nobody's perfect. But based upon my thesis where I think we're going, that's what I did. So, looking at all of this playing out, if we do get that pullback, taking some off the table is not bad. Just buy in later. If you're doing it in a normal account, make sure that you're paying attention to any taxes that you've got to pay on those shares. But, work it out for your own portfolio and whatever's best for you. But I would never fault anyone for taking a profit. Raymond, market is expecting a hold in rates based on recent gains. A raise will be bad macro. Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what would transpire if we got a raise. So, Felipe, is Tesla building a gigafactory in Spain? When? So that was a rumor that had popped up. Not to say that there's no truth to it. Usually, when we hear rumors like this, there is some validity to it. So I have a feeling that there are some talks going on. As we had mentioned before, Tesla obviously is now going to have 3 gigafactories in North America with the EV tax credit that we have over here. That's going to be very beneficial for them. Explains exactly why they chose Mexico as their next factory, because they would still be eligible for the EV tax credits. They want to capitalize on that as much as possible. A factory pushing out 4 million units is going to do a great job making them a lot of money from those EV tax credits. Clearly, Shanghai is doing a great job, but Asia Pacific is going to be another huge region that they're going to want to have another factory. I don't think that they're going to put it in China, which is why we think that South Korea or Indonesia are a couple of the top areas they may put it over there. But they're also going to need another factory in Spain, in Europe. And Spain makes a lot of sense to do that. So there's most likely going to be another factory coming up in Europe. Spain just happens to be the first one that really popped up on people's radars for a rumor that's coming out. So we'll see how that all goes. What order they're going to go in, I don't know. Again, I do think that since Shanghai is basically, almost fully ramped as it's at, they could do expansions, and I know they can easily squeeze out more units over there. But since they're almost capped out there, they would want another factory in that area, since Berlin still has quite a ways to grow. So I would think that because thinking about even with Mexico, it's going to take them about a year or so to build that factory, and then another year to get it up to ramp. We're looking at Berlin right now after a year, pushing out 4,000 to 5,000 units per week. If it's going to take them about a year, that's 2 years from groundbreaking to getting to 5,000 units per week. So, looking at Europe, they're going to want to do something soon. So maybe we hear about 2 new factories by the end of this year, one in Asia Pacific and one over in Europe. So we shall see, but sounds like Spain is going to be on the radar for a factory. Maybe we hear about it on the earnings call. Bobby, I sold also, but I'm getting tempted to sell a bit more right now at 1,200 shares. Again, I can't fault anyone for taking profits off the table. Looking at the charts, again, we are oversold, depending on what charts you want to look at. Do you think we're going to get a pullback? When do you think it's going to happen? Do you think it's going to be short-lived and temporary? Then when do you time buying back in? Again, all questions you need to do the research on for yourself. But those are just things that I say, because, looking at me, I thought that we were going to hit that 214 level and bounce back down. We did. We came down to 150. I thought we were going to fall further at that point. We did not. Now, thinking about myself, and I'm kicking myself for this, we had Adam on here and said, hey, when the Fed pauses, historically, the market rallies. Well, guess what? I knew that pause was coming, which is hopefully going to be tomorrow, and we're rallying. So shame on me for not following my plan exactly, but I still made profits. And it just means I need to wait longer for that opportunity, or I'll just buy in at a higher price. It happens. Not selling shares. Oh, okay. That's right. You were just talking about options. Totally understandable. Gotcha. Yeah, I was talking to my dad about options, and he and I were discussing it. He has more money in the market than I do, so he can play options. I can't yet, because it's, for those of you who don't know, playing options, each contract is 100 shares. So when you're looking at that, for me, either covered calls or selling puts are 2 excellent bullish ways to play options in Tesla. Again, I would recommend, if you're going to do it and you haven't done it before, do it with paper trading first. This way you can practice and understand how all of the options work. especially when it comes to the premiums, when it comes to all the decay and all of this timing of them. So um, do your own research on all of that. Once I actually get familiar with it, I will start, trying to do videos and educate you guys on options as well. But many people do very well on that, just getting paid on the premium. So great way to go. Phil McMahon, in my view, someone needs nerds of steel to short Tesla. Yeah, there are so many catalysts and fundamentals strongly favor an upward trend mid and long term. Dude, I saw somebody tweet the other day about there was some guy in January. The stock was at, I don't know if it was at 116. And he was like, yep, I see a significant more downside, 90% downside from here. And he was shorting and adding to their short position at 116. I hope somebody's checking in on that guy now because he's probably not doing well. But like looking at times like this, depending on what your time frame is for shorting, I would never short Tesla. But looking at where it's at, hey, if you're playing it by the charts, doing a short-term shorting on it to make some profits on the downside, some people do that. Hey, I'm never going to bash anybody for their decisions if they're trying to do what's best for them. It's just not my thing. Honey, if South Korea has battery suppliers like LG and Samsung, Tesla should really build there. Yeah, that's big. Indonesia's got all the nickel. They've got a lot of resources there. Lots of options for Tesla. This is what's great. And another kind of subtle fundamental piece that a lot of people don't think about is think about all of the countries that are vying for Tesla. So many people want to have Tesla build in their countries. Why? It's not, countries wouldn't be going out and seeking Tesla to be like, please build a factory here if Tesla wasn't looking to be making them significant amounts of money and changing their country. Tesla's literally changing other countries. That's how disruptive they are. That's how successful and powerful they are. So to me, that's another huge fundamental piece that so many people don't understand. Apple prompted many China suppliers to move manufacturing to India. These suppliers are now regretting and some moved back. Seems workers not as productive as supply chain issues. Ooh, that's very interesting because I know obviously we've had some talks about Tesla jumping over to India as well. That was something that was on my radar. I thought India until they didn't want to play ball, so Tesla's like, now we're good, we'll back out. So I'm really curious as to how that would play out. But it's good to get that info from Apple. Going over to India and getting this because, if they're not going to get the same bang for their buck over there, maybe it's not worth going in there. Ian, good evening, Tim from UK. Tesla, a cool 139% rise so far year to date. Happy days. Oh, yeah. Wishing everyone in the US a great week. Wishing you guys a great week over there as well, Ian. And yeah, that's up 139%. It's crazy. Crazy times we are in. Still learning. Yeah. We'll learn together and I'll reach out to you. Anybody who does play options, when I start doing them, I will definitely look to you guys. I mean, you guys taught me a lot about what I know now. And so I will definitely be reaching out for more of lessons from you guys. Yeah. Learned expensive lessons. And this is another thing to remember too. Anybody who's getting to the market for the first time, pretty sure all of you have learned from this. There's expensive lessons to learn. When you play with options, that's magnifying those expensive lessons. So just that's why I always recommend paper trading first, because you can at least learn those lessons, or at least some of them, in paper form and not with real money. Felipe, if the next two factories open, Mexico and maybe Spain or another country, can Tesla achieve more than 50% growth year after year? Yes, that's totally possible. And you have to remember that the 50% growth year over year was sorry, losing train of thought completely here. It was the average. So it was an average of 50% year over year. So looking at where they're trending right now, based upon the growth that they had when they stated that, they realistically only need 40% year over year growth to achieve that 50% year over year growth projection that they had. So they've done so well in the beginning, they've now pushed it to they need 40% year over year to achieve those goals. But with those factories coming in, looking at the way Berlin is ramping, look at the way Austin is ramping, both doing very well. Cybertruck will be coming out most likely in Q3. So with all of that going on, and then Mexico coming online next year, Yeah, I don't see any reason why we couldn't get there because by the time Mexico comes online, Berlin and Austin still won't be at maximum ramp. Shanghai, heck, still isn't even there yet. And they kind of slowed down ramp in Shanghai just because, Berlin was coming up and online. They anticipated the fact that with interest rates going up, demand would probably be squashed a little bit worldwide. So they didn't really need to push all the production out of Shanghai, but they're ready for it. Plus, they wanted to get the Highland up and running. So we haven't heard any of the true information about Highland yet. Thought we were going to hear about it last week. No big news. Maybe we hear about it at Q2 earnings call. Maybe we hear about it when we get delivery report. Speaking of delivery report, if you guys have not watched Peggy's video on his predictions, please go ahead and watch that. I am planning on having Peggy on here live next Monday. So I've got next Monday off. So we're going to be doing a special live stream with Peggy on here. So we'll have him on, and then we're going to be doing a big one for the earnings call. But hopefully this weekend I will be able to dial in. I'm very busy this weekend, but I may have a little time before I get on with Peggy to update my production and delivery forecast as well, so that he and I can discuss that on Monday. Gene, price prediction for end of 2023 is $247 at the moment. I have not changed that since February. After a few years, it won't be 50% anymore, much less due to the S curve. Yes, exactly. Assuming Gen 3 car would be cheaper and already spoken for. So that's what's going to end up happening is you're going to kind of, in the middle of this S curve where we're at right now, not to say we're going to slow down any, but we're going to really see it jump up significantly more when that next gen vehicle comes out. Again, we still have no true full official announcement for it yet, but we're all assuming it's going to be a $25,000 to $30,000 vehicle. And if you think about the fact that, over in China, you're looking at the Model 3 in the $30,000 range. Here in the US, with the EV tax credit, you're looking at, $30,000. State by state, you could come down, like here in Connecticut, it's $25,000. So baseline price for the compact car, maybe in that $25,000 to $30,000 range. But depending on where you live in the world, when you start putting on tax credits and stuff, we could be looking at sub $25,000, maybe even sub $20,000 vehicles that are coming out. So that's going to be just mind blowing. And when that happens, Tesla's going to need massive ramping coming. And this is why the whole entire process that they're looking at for Mexico is an entirely new manufacturing process that is going to be a significantly more efficient and cost effective. This way, when they get it up and running, again, it's going to take some time to ramp. So make sure that you subdue your expectations when it comes to this ramp. It's going to be very much like Berlin and Austin, which everybody was excited, really was slow to get going. But once it got that snowball building, it grew very quickly. Same thing is going to end up happening in Mexico. May take a little while to get actually moving, but once it gets going, they'll be good. And then what's going to end up happening is whatever they figure out there, they can move into the next factory and utilize those same processes and update it. So that's kind of why they try to stagger the opening of factories, because every time they open up a factory, they can say, all right, here's the new process that we're operating with. What can we learn from this? So the next factory we open, we can make even better and improve upon those other things. That's why they stagger them out the way they do. And I have no doubt they're going to do the same thing with Mexico. Chicago, what is going on, Sal? At the moment, Berlin is slowed down due to low demand. Not a surprise. Again, that's one of the things that Tesla has the benefit of is they can slow down production just to kind of match. Like this is how agile they are. They're like, all right, well, we'll slow down here. We'll change prices there. They're constantly checking data all over the place on a daily basis to see where they need to pull down on production, where they need to pull down on prices. Maybe they want to go up on prices, go up on production. This is the power of Tesla because their whole entire culture is an agile moving entity. It's almost like a living being that is going. It's not this rigid thing like we see in legacy auto, which is this is what we do. Cool. And then, oh, we produced too much. Let's shut down the factory now. That's how legacy auto works. Tesla is much more fluid in their operations. Hanif, if the compact car releases in 2024, 2025, Tesla will have so much demand that more than 50% growth, in my opinion. Yeah, I have no doubt. The demand will be there. And I think what will end up happening with this factory is we're going to go back to what we saw in early COVID times where Tesla literally could not produce enough. You saw 1 year lead times on these vehicles. I think we're going to get back to a point where we see that going on with this compact car. We could be seeing 6, 12, maybe even longer lead times coming out until they get the ramp up and going. Again, this is another reason why I think we're going to hear about another factory coming out in the Asia Pacific region, because if they're going to have that there and one in Asia Pacific, they can have these factories producing in tandem to be able to keep up, because it's going to be a global demand for all of these vehicles. It's not just going to be a North American demand. It's going to be global. And there's going to be a lot of areas in the world that Tesla hasn't even touched yet that are going to want this vehicle. So that time frame and that vehicle, that's going to be the massive nail in the coffin and game changer that is going to completely put everyone else out of business. Because while we are currently at price parity when it comes to the average price of vehicles for Teslas, there's still a lot of lower end priced vehicles in gas form that Tesla cannot touch right now. It's just the truth and the fact of the matter. But when Tesla comes out with that compact car, that will no longer be the case. I'm baffled how anyone in Europe would still buy an ICE car with Model 3 affordable and available. It's true. I think the problem is over in Europe. It's just, again, very much like we've got the UAW here. They've got a lot of that in Europe also. Now, Martin Viecha did put out a tweet today stating how it's a misconception that Europe is so dependent on gas and oil, or gas and coal, and they're not. Wind and hydropower are actually um, higher and more utilized than gas and coal. So that is moving up significantly, and that is going to just continue going in that trend in that direction. So everything is inevitable. Again, going back to just even economic fundamentals, we're moving in this direction. This is the way the entire world is going, and that's it. Yeah, gas $7 a gallon could be cut off anytime. Yeah, and OPEC cutting down on gas production or oil production doesn't help either. Lang, Tesla of mine is getting close to positive gain. So glad. What's going on, Lang? Yes, so many people going green now. I got to tell you, it was such a great feeling doing my holding, my dollar cost averaging. I brought my cost basis from 268 down to 221. And had I not been dollar cost averaging, playing it for the long term. And again, some people swung and some people timed it better. Some people sold higher and bought back in lower. Awesome. Great job to you guys. My strategy was totally different. So I played it the way I played it. And because of the way I did, I went green at 221 versus still not being green had I not done that. Again, when people were being fearful because the stock was coming down, I was buying more and adding heavier the more we came down. Now we're at a point where a lot of people who are like, I don't want to buy at 110. I don't know what's going on. I think the stock is going to crash. It's dead. Are now like, oh man, now I got to buy back in. And they're now buying in at 250. Whereas many of you guys and myself, as I know, we're buying in at those low $100 levels. Sal, crazy thought. Do you think we could see a stock split if we reach upward levels of 8,900 this year? We're not going to reach there. Now, again, hey, anything can happen. So I'm going to say most likely we will not be reaching those levels. Hitting a 10x in 1 year during high interest rate environment, highly unlikely. But if we do, that's awesome. If we do, I don't know. I don't even know. I would imagine, yes, we would split at that level. But I don't think that's going to happen this year. But when it does happen, I think that is the level we would end up hearing about a split. So we'd probably hear the $900 level, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, maybe, coming down to that $250, $300 range. Again, thinking about the reasons we heard the split in the past were they had so many new employees that came on board with Berlin and Austin opening up. They wanted to, offer a more affordable stock price to all of their new employees to be able to get in the stock option plan. So with that said, we've still been hanging around these levels. So it wouldn't be until we get to the next level that we see it. Now, by the time we hit that next level, we're most likely going to have Mexico online. Who knows if we'll have another factory online. Plus, we would end up having all of those workers that came in that are newer to the company as well at that point. So that would make a lot of sense for Tesla to do another split at that level. Concerned about FSD in China. Can't that tech be stolen if in China? I don't think so because the tech originated from the US. So I do not believe that's how it can work over there. I could be wrong, could be entirely wrong, but I don't believe that's how it can work. Um, so, again, Tesla has their patents open and they'll license it to anyone. So it's not like it's a secret of what they're doing, but I don't think they could be stolen. And even in Elon's mind, even if it's stolen, by the time they actually get it and perfect it, um, why would they not be working on it now? It couldn't be that hard to steal that technology. If they were able to do it at the point when it gets to China, they would be able to do it here also. Um, that's just my thought on that. Miguel Monti, is human resources a problem to Tesla scaling? Is the demand level, long hours, enough skill and motivation easy to come by when hiring? So, Miguel, that's an awesome point. That was an issue that we did see in Berlin. They could not hire enough people. And keeping in mind that when it comes to here in the US, SpaceX and Tesla are the top two companies that engineers want to go work for. But people working on the factory floor, it's a little bit different case. However, Tesla does treat their employees well. And, with the stock options, there's a lot of millionaires that are working on the factory floors for Tesla just because they were in for so long and they got the stocks. So, getting the able bodies is important. One of the things that we spoke to Farzad about, and the reason why, I was incorrect thinking that Tesla would open up 5 or 6 factories in the next couple of years, is the fact that one of the most vital keys to all of Tesla is their employees and the culture that comes along with Tesla. And when you open up too many factories too fast, you start to lose that culture. I saw it a lot. I worked at Home Depot in 2008, and they opened up so many stores between the 90s and early 2000s that they lost a lot of the knowledge and culture that Home Depot was built on. Obviously, they still got through it and they were very successful, but they lost a lot of that along the way. When it comes to manufacturing, you don't really want to lose that. That could cause a lot of major issues along the way. So they really want to be careful to keep that culture in place. So, yes, you're absolutely right. When it comes to scaling properly, getting the right bodies in there is important. Now, Tesla bot Optimus might play a role in this. Obviously, we're not at a point right now where it's going to be, hugely successful on the floor. But if we are going to be seeing Optimus perhaps in Mexico, even just moving, trash or carts or something from point A to point B, that could be huge because that's one less person that you have to hire for some menial tasks like that. That can improve the efficiency of the factory. We will see how that all plays out. But Miguel, that is a great point, and that could hamper them. But sounds like that's probably one of the things that Tesla's going to make sure they look into when they're looking at opening up a new factory. Sounds like they'll have plenty of people down in Mexico to be able to work the factories there. So looking at Indonesia and South Korea, they would most likely have enough bodies over there. So Europe might be the only place where it could be a little bit questionable when it comes to how many bodies can they get. But hey, if Tesla is going to be as successful as they are and prove themselves to be a company that people want to work for, should not be an issue. Like even like we saw in Berlin, while Tesla wasn't able to hire as fast as everybody else, or as Tesla wasn't able to hire as fast as they wanted to, they were still hiring faster than everybody else was. Tesla's hiring was way better than the average in the area. So I think that's going to be the same situation across the board. Raymond Elon said semi-production won't really get going until end of 2024. Yes, I did see that today. So semi, and again, semi is going to be important, but it's not going to be the massive game changer that I think Cybertruck or the compact car will be. But it's going to make a huge difference, and it's going to make a huge difference in two facets. One, changing just how trucking works in general is going to be big. And then from a logistical standpoint for Tesla and a cost standpoint, they'll be able to do their own trucking with their own trucks, save a lot on shipping costs when it comes to all of their materials with their own trucks. So that's going to be huge. And again, with them upping the factory over in Nevada, they still haven't even finished that yet. So that ramp will come. It's going to take some time. They will get there, but end of 2024 totally makes sense. Now, he did say previously 50,000 in 2024. So obviously that has now changed. But I don't know what the details are behind that. We will see, though. Karav, you're right. Cybertruck and compact. Oh, yeah, I forgot. The Cybertruck wait time is going to be insane. Like, I'm waiting for 3 or 4 years on that, most likely. is the Cybertruck is wait time. So yes, lead times will be bonkers. So Tesla's going to want to get these factories up and ramped as quickly as possible with a compact car. And they know it. So they're, I have no doubt, working on this. Lang, split or not, doesn't matter. I keep DCA investing. Great man, good man. My portfolio is up some last 12 gains of NASDAQ's index. Yeah. Yeah. Just DCA, man. So historically, and this is financial advice, historically, the best way on average to get the best gains and grow your net worth and your wealth the most is dollar cost averaging over time. That's it. Some people who are good at swing trading, you can make more. It's more risk, and you can certainly lose a lot more. But when it comes to just steady, consistent average gains, dollar cost averaging is the way to go. I mean, that's what Warren Buffett did. So, Bobby used to work in Hartford. That's awesome. We've got one of our branches is in East Hartford. So, and I go through Hartford all the time. Going to visit my brother. So Hartford, I'm very familiar with. Oh, Karav, have you done research on getting a Model 3? So I have. So I did the research. I've actually got to look at my taxes. So I do qualify because it's anything under $150,000 for single, and that's me. So I would qualify for that. So for me, I could theoretically, and I have to look at the Connecticut. I think the Connecticut rules follow the same protocol. I did not see that anywhere on Tesla's website. But theoretically, I should be able to get the rear wheel drive Model 3 for $25,000. The only thing I have not found, and I still cannot get a straight answer, and if any of you guys know, please share. When it comes to the EV tax credit, it's not up front. And Karav, you can speak to this when you got your Model Y. I'm guessing you guys, you can let me know too if you guys qualified for the EV tax credit. It's a tax credit, so it's going to come off of next year's taxes. So they say it's like paying less, but when you're looking at your actual taxes and you're filing and it says, all right, so based upon what you owe and your income coming in is less because of that tax credit, that's the piece I want to know about. And I think Jen Strahan looked into this, so I'm going to have to reach out to her as well. But I believe that's how the whole thing plays out. So it's not coming off of the top line when you buy it. It's when you do your tax return next year. Now, from the information that I had previously, going in 2024, it will come off at the time of purchase. So if the vehicle base price is $35,000, you take $7,500 off of that. That takes it down to $27,500, and then you take the other $2,250 off. Now I'm looking at out the door at the time of purchase of $25,000. So those are the things that I still need to look into. So I have researched everything else up until that point. So I will find out the other information. But again, if you guys happen to know more about that, please share. Autopilot code was stolen, but FSD is much more complicated and need data and dojo training plus hardware 3 or 4. That's a great point, Raymond. So you can steal the technology all you want, but since that in itself is a moving entity and a growing being, go ahead and take the technology, but do you have the hardware in your vehicles and the engineers needed to continue improving upon that FSD? That's an awesome point, Raymond. Dominic, I always see white Model 3 on the road. I think Tesla should do a like 10 plus colors for the next gen with the improved manufacturing process. My thoughts on that are twofold. One, a reason you see a lot of white Teslas on the road is because A, that's the standard one and the least expensive. And two, a lot of people who are buying Teslas get them wrapped. And when you get them wrapped, you can get them wrapped in whatever color you want. So you can basically make it whatever you want it to be. So a lot of times people get the white because why would they pay for any extra for a color when they're going to get it wrapped anyway? Now, with that said, going to a less expensive vehicle, wrapping your car, depending on where you're at, like here in Connecticut, could be like $6,000 or $7,000. So if you're going to get a compact car for $25,000, do you really have another $6,000 or $7,000 that you want to drop on getting it wrapped? Probably not. So yes, coming out with more color options for the compact car would make a lot of sense. And with all the technology they've got going over in Berlin with their paint factory there, they can kind of take pieces, the most awesome pieces from all of their factories and put them together in this compact car and just literally change the world. So can we please explain a wash sale? Yes. A wash sale is if You are selling a stock for a loss. You cannot buy it again within the next 30 days and claim it in a gain because you can't claim a loss on it again. So that's what the whole wash is. It's the 30-day rule when you sell a stock. If you sell a stock for a profit, you can go ahead and buy back in. Just keep on rotating that over and making profits on it. Not a big deal. But if you're going to do it for a loss, you cannot buy. Well, you can buy it again, but you can't claim another loss on it for 30 days. So if you're trying to like wash it and offset a gain with a gain with a loss, you can't do it that way. Giga Mars, that that was on my radar. As soon as Elon was talking about Mars, I'm like, I can't wait for Giga Mars to be coming up. 10 colors too many, 5 colors or less is better. I don't know. I mean, think about the colors that you have out there right now. You're going to have a gray, a white, blue, red, black. There's your 5 basics right there. You know, probably a green. I know people like green, like a hunter green color wouldn't be bad. Um, Maybe 2 shades of gray, like a light gray and a dark gray. So, I could see 7 colors maybe. But you're right. And looking at just the basic colors that are out there for vehicles, I would say 7 probably the most. But I do think that they should offer more than they currently offer for most of their vehicles, just because again, people aren't going to want to get them wrapped. But even so, I think regardless of colored options, the vehicle itself is going to be so compelling that I don't think it's going to matter. People will just figure out whatever color they want because they're like, well, I can get a Tesla EV that's going to be significantly more cost efficient for me at $25,000, or I can spend more money on a less efficient, not as good vehicle just because I can get a better color. And I don't think if people were going to be making that decision, they wouldn't choose to get an ICE vehicle strictly because they had more color options. Some people maybe will, but I highly doubt that. Raymond Scott Walter had a video showing 10 different bot manufacturers, highly recommended. Ooh, I'll put that on my list to watch. Um, yeah, I'd be interested in that. Just to see what the technology is going to be as we get there. Cybertruck will be greatest pub stunt in the last maybe decade. Will put Tesla in the eyes of and people conversations. That's a big piece of it too. And one of the things that I had mentioned about the Cybertruck is, everybody's talking about, yes, Southern California, people buy trucks more for a status symbol rather than actual functionality. So when we start seeing Cybertrucks, and again, I work in retail when it comes to construction, the construction industry. So when I start seeing Cybertrucks on job sites, it's going to be like a blonde walking down the street. It's immediately going to turn your head. So you're going to get a second look. People are going to start asking questions. What is that? What can it do? Tell me about it. And then when they start seeing the functionality of the vehicle on a job site, that's what's going to be the game changer. Now, of course, we haven't seen it yet. We don't know what the full functionality of this vehicle is. But when we start to see this on there, and if it does actually do what Elon and Tesla are saying it's going to be doing, these guys in the field are going to be like, that's the truck that I want because I can do so much more and make so much more money with my business with that truck. So that is what I'm waiting for. Don't think Leo Kogu wants to use DCA. I mean, he sort of does, but he does so in like an options margin manner, which is dangerous. And it explains why he was so emotional in December when the stock was plummeting. Ooh, just received update 11.4.3. That's let us know how it is because that's interesting. It does not come off the price when you purchase this year. Okay, when you pay taxes for the year, your final amount will be subtracted by 7,500. Oh, okay. Thanks, Krav. That's big. So instead of it coming off as your disclosed income versus your taxable income at the end of the year. This is good. So, for instance, if you make $100,000 and the government says you owe us taxes on $100,000, normally a lot of credits say, all right, well, you would only owe us taxes on $92,500 with that tax credit, 92.5. The difference here is once everything is fully assessed, let's say the government says, all right, we owe you $1,000 after you're done with your taxes. you'll now get back another $7,500. So you'll get back $8,500. Thank you, Karav. That was very helpful and important. Now, with that information, now I'm actually really interested. Maybe I will go get my Model 3. The only problem for me is I don't want rear wheel drive. I have heard from people in Toronto that saying that they've got a rear wheel drive Model 3 up there and it's perfectly fine in the snow. Um, for me, I would just prefer an all wheel drive. So I'll take a look at the options, but even if I paid a little bit more for it, um, thanks, Karav. Now hmm, yeah. And yes, I agree that $7,500 off at the sale of the sale price is a better discount. Fully agree with that, Lang. Realistically, in the end, it's about the same. The difference here is you have to wait to get that money back in taxes versus just having it off right at the time of purchase. Because realistically, if you're looking at it from a monthly payment standpoint, getting it off at the time of purchase means that your monthly payments are going to be lower. Doing it in the tax form, when you do it that way, what's going to end up happening is you're going to get the monthly payments of what they're going to be. And when you get that $7,500 back, in order to offset those monthly payments, you would have to directly take that $7,500 and throw it right into your payment for your vehicle to then bring that monthly payment down and offset all of that. So that's the big difference in the two different ways of looking at it. And that's the only reason why I may wait until the end of the year. Again, with my premise and thesis on how the stock market and the economy are going to move, I want to make sure that I have enough money put aside to buy a house, invest in whatever I can, because at that point, then I'll have a house. I'll know new payment layouts, what I've got going on for expenses. Then I could go ahead and get a vehicle. And if I do it in 2024 and get that money taken off at the time of purchase, that's even better. So those are the two things I need to weigh out now. But you guys have been extremely helpful tonight in helping me make these decisions with your information. So thank you. Wow, long time, 30 days to buy back and to claim. Yeah, it's 30. That's just the rule, which is why when you're looking at the whole entire macro environment and the stock market moving in the way it was like last year, when you see stocks getting sold off, like we saw in December with Tesla, a lot of people were selling and were like, they won't be able to buy back in until 30 days later, strictly because of that 30-day wash rule. So everybody was selling at the beginning of December, and they were doing so in anticipation of an end of the year rally coming, and they wanted to buy in as early as possible at the beginning of the year. So they sold out in the beginning of December so that they could buy in at the beginning of January before the big rally started, which is exactly what we saw. So we saw that exact scenario play out, and a lot of these big money institutions understand that. That's why they did exactly what they did. Berlin Red is awesome. Yeah, Quicksilver. I love the Quicksilver, man. Quicksilver is my if I had the option for Quicksilver, I would be all over that one. Dangerous to drive at dawn and sunset in Western Australia. Kangaroos are running across the street often. Damaged my old BMW a few years ago. Learned my lesson. Lang, that's exactly like deer here in the Northeast in Connecticut. Same thing. Deer early morning and evening. It's deer all over the place. I remember when I was in Australia driving in Tasmania, we would literally see Wallaby Crossing and Tasmanian Devil Crossing, and without fail, at literally every single sign, there was a dead one on the side of the road that was hit by a vehicle, almost like, hey, here's your example of what you're possibly going to be running into. When do you think Twitter and Starlink will IPO? Starlink will IPO before Twitter. Starlink may IPO this year. If not, probably it'll IPO next year. And Twitter, I think, will IPO in probably 2026. Looking at where they're at right now with financials, it's turning around sooner than Elon thought. So maybe before then, but he does owe it to all of his private shareholders right now to make sure that things are up and running like they need to be before they go public with the stock again. And as Elon said before, it's a lot easier to run a privately owned company than it is to run a publicly owned company. So seeing as Twitter's in a good enough place right now, I don't think he's going to IPO that for a while. I think it's going to take a few years. Imagine all the fleet trucks Cybertruck will replace. Think utility companies, government vehicles, even Department of Defense. Yeah. I mean, we're going to see a lot. It's going to be a massive change across the board. Like just like right now, when you see police vehicles in the US, there are police departments that are switching over to EVs. They're switching over to Model 3s that we're seeing. So it's coming. It's starting to do that. But again, it's just going to take some time to get the infrastructure in place. But when you start to see a lot of government facilities taking this on, that means you're going to get even more support from the government to be able to come up with all of this infrastructure needed for the charging. Just another fundamental reason we're going to push forward. Alan could see sales increase as the year comes to an end as the tax break gets closer to 2024. It might be actually the opposite, Alan. I think we're going to see an increase either way. But just like last year when we had the EV tax credit that we knew was coming out in 2023, we saw kind of a decline in demand with a lot of people anticipating and just waiting, which is why Tesla threw out all the incentives that they could at the end of December to try and get people, hey, buy now, because you're not going to need to wait. We'll front the money now because we know that you guys are going to get it later. So we may see a similar scenario at the end of this year with people anticipating that wait. Now, it's not going to be as bad because, again, once you get to the end of the year, people could file their taxes and it may only be 30 days before they get that money back. But when we get there, again, that significant difference between having to wait for your taxes to put that lump sum into your vehicle versus just getting it right off at this time of sale, that could make a huge difference. So we may see kind of a demand drain at the end of the year just for a short period of time. Will Cybertruck launch event be held at a lake to show off its aquatic ability? Ooh, that would be awesome, Marty. I don't know. Maybe. That would be fantastic. And if not, whoever gets the first one, I have no doubt is going to immediately go and try it just to show a video of it. And if they don't, shame on them, because that would be an awesome way to show off the vehicle. Raymond, how does $7,500 off sale price work unless one qualified based on past year tax return? So good question, because obviously when tax time comes around at the beginning of next year, it's not like January 1st, you file your taxes and you get them back. Most people have to wait until the end of January, at least here in the US. Well, that's where the EV tax credit is anyway. But you have to wait till the end of January. Most employers get you your tax info by the end of January. So what they're going to do in January for it, I really don't know. I don't know how that's going to actually work, because they would probably end up going off, if they wanted to do it starting January 1st, they would have to go off of your tax return from 2022, similar to what they did when it came to the stimulus checks. They went off of your previous tax year that was available at the time. If you had filed, it would go off your most current tax. So that's probably what they would end up doing at the beginning of next year, is they would go off your 2022 tax returns unless you filed your 2023 tax returns. If you filed your 2023, it would go off of those. So just like with the stimulus checks, you kind of want to play it out where if you happen to get, a massive pay bump in 2023 and it pushed you past the limits and you wouldn't qualify for it, you may want to delay your taxes so that you can use your 2022 tax return to qualify for that in order to make sure that you get that tax credit. So we'll go over a lot more of that at the end of the year, but I have no doubt it's going to play out very similar to the stimulus checks. Marty, not sure if it's going to get back to your 146 price point. That shit may have sailed. No, I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong. And honestly, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, I'll own anytime I'm wrong. I thought for sure we were going to be coming back down to those levels before we ran up to these levels. But again, I had that question, which gap was going to get filled first, 146 or 262? Now it's looking like 262. But again, we were right down at 150 and so close to 146, and then whoosh, ran up to where we are now. So, hey, sometimes I don't have the answers. I maybe, the oracle, but I don't have the answers, but I've got questions for sure, and questions that'll make you guys think and come up with your own answers. It's kind of what I pride myself on as the oracle. I don't give you the answers, but I give you the information that'll help you guys find your own answers. Can the $7,500 tax break be carried forward or used for past earning years? Yeah, I think I just answered that one for you. So it's really going to depend on when you filed your taxes. Do you think Elon will make good on his promise to get Tesla bulls on the Starlink IPO? I think he will. How he will end up playing that out, I don't know. I don't know if he would do some sort of percentage based upon, I don't know when you'd have to hold Tesla stock from at what point. If they would do a percentage of, hey, if you're a shareholder, you're going to get X number of shares based upon how many shares you currently own of Tesla. Um, However, he's going to do it, I have no doubt he'll do something to take care of Tesla shareholders. Maybe he'll give Tesla shareholders first access at pricing. Just like there's a lot of private investors who get that. That could be the thing. So, hey, pre-IPO, we can get in at pre-IPO prices. That would be really nice. I think that'd probably be the easiest way for him to do it. So people who have Tesla stock can buy as much as they want at pre-IPO prices. That would be my guess. Honey, if I'm still waiting for Kia to follow Ford and GM and add NACS to all future 2025 models so I can use the superchargers soon. Yeah, I have no doubt they will. Because thinking about the importance of the charging infrastructure when it comes to all of the vehicles, um, if you don't have the charging infrastructure when it comes to range anxiety, that's going to be a massive battle for anyone who is not utilizing the charging stations that are most widespread. FSD should detect kangaroos unless there's a mob of them to paralyze your car. I have no doubt it will. I mean, it'll recognize it. It recognizes dogs and stuff, so I have no doubt it'll recognize kangaroos. But I wonder if they're going to recognize it as the same, or if that's going to be a whole new learning curve for FSD. Yeah, Cybertruck will be the best police cruiser. Talk about a SWAT vehicle right there. Armored Cybertrucks. It's ridiculous. Get the all-wheel drive in the long range too. Yeah, long range is all-wheel drive, so that's the way I would go. You'll want the battery capacity in the colder weather. That's what I thought of. That was another reason. The range is nice, especially when I go on my longer trips. Where I go now, there are already charging stations. I'm not concerned, but there are some places I want to go to where having that extra range would be nice to have. Especially, and like you said, with the heating cabin and other elements needed to draw off battery, I've been looking at trying to keep my expenses down. When I go on my hikes, I may be looking to just stay, for very cheap in a campsite and sleep in my car. And if that's the case, then yes, I'm absolutely going to want to have the larger battery and more range to be able to take care of all that. Random Karav, Tesla has year to date produced about 830,000 vehicles as of today. Wow. Now, not having my forecasts in front of me, Karav, there's no way Tesla's going to be able to pump out 170,000 vehicles in the next 3 weeks, are they? 2 weeks by the end of the quarter? Just curious. I don't think they could, because pumping out 1 million vehicles, even if they don't, it doesn't matter, because that pace and that rate with the ramping still continuing, that could still put them on pace for production of 2 million vehicles by the end of the year. LFP batteries will last up to 4,000 cycles, which is significantly longer than nickel-based batteries. Yes, and then the sodium batteries that we're going to be seeing coming out of, is it CATL? Panasonic? Wow, I can't remember who it was. But either way, the sodium batteries that are coming out are going to be even better. And I have no doubt, and they're going to be better and significantly more cost-effective. Those are the ones I think we're going to be seeing in the compact car. It would be cool to see Cybertruck launch to be held at Starbase and they lower it down for a Starship. Oh, that would be awesome. Oh man. With an inflation, 150 was the 146 gap. Oh man, that is so true. But unfortunately, that's not how the charts see it. But dang, that's funny. Oh man. Even Oracle of Omaha can be wrong. Tim is just Oracle of Connecticut. I am, and so some people have asked in the past, where I came up with the name, and I got it from Never Ending Story and The Matrix, and both oracles in them kind of had the same premise, which is people don't go to them for answers; they go to them for guidance, and they are just kind of pointed in a direction, and that direction that you get pointed on helps you find your own path, because it's like teaching a man to fish or giving a man a fish. You give a man to fish, he'll eat for a day. teach a man to fish, he'll eat, he'll be able to eat for a lifetime. So it's kind of the same thesis. If I just gave everybody the answers all the time, which of course I don't have, but if I gave everybody the answers, then everybody just keep coming to me for answers. I couldn't live my life, and you guys would never be able to learn on your own on how to find your own answers. So that's kind of what the premise came down to, was I just kind of give some guidance so that you guys can go and find your own path and find your own answers and learn how to fish on your own, and eventually may not even need me anymore. But hey, that's what I'm all about. Is I don't want to have people need me. I want people to be so self-sufficient that they're like, thank you for giving me the path and the guidance that I needed to go on. I have found my path. You've given me the stepping stone and the knowledge I needed. Thank you. That's kind of what the whole premise behind the Oracle is. There is no spoon. You're right. At this point right now, there's a shovel, and it's just shoveling. Yep. And honey, if you're right, because you know what? Spooning leads to forking. Going back to more like around 90K, still 90K. So that's an awesome thing. So 2 years ago, Tesla for an entire year produced 910,000 vehicles. Here we are, halfway through the year, Tesla's going to be producing 910,000 vehicles. Awesome. That is exponential growth. Yeah, I'd love those pre-IPO prices. That's key right there, is pre-IPO prices. Probably going to announce Highland Model 3 during Q2 earnings call. They might. I'm actually curious as to where they are in this, if they're just testing it, if they've just been running some models over there. Again, we don't have much information on the Highland. We had all the rumors at the beginning of the year. We knew that they were working on it. Last we knew was Shanghai was supposed to be producing it at some point, and then Fremont was going to be picking it up as well, probably in Q3, sometime around the October timeframe. So you may be right. So perhaps they're going to announce the Highland at the Q2 earnings call and say that Shanghai is already on board with it, and we will be seeing Fremont coming out and producing it a few months later. So that's highly possible. We've been on for over an hour. And I started late tonight too. I'm going to have to get to bed in shortly, but you guys have been awesome tonight, and I want to give you some more time. So let's see here. I need to start delivering Highland. It is Osborne Model 3. The rumors are, and it stinks because it's the rumors are, but the problem is if Tesla's not ready to deliver and the rumors have been leaked, there's nothing Tesla can do about it. That's it. Because if Tesla comes out and confirms the rumors, that'll just expand on the Osborne effect, and that makes it even worse. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Osborne effect is when there's something better coming down the road, it's going to squash the current sales. Just like we saw in Shanghai and China back at the end of September of last year, a lot of rumors were coming out about prices coming down on the vehicle. So a lot of people stopped buying because they assumed that the prices were going to be coming down. And they did eventually come down, but it squashed the sales ahead of time, which is why Tesla doesn't like a lot of this information leaked out. Just like the same exact thing is going to happen with the compact car. When they announce the details behind the compact car and the pricing, it's going to cannibalize a bit of the Model 3, because that Model 3 sale is probably going to be like, people are going to be like, ooh, Model 3 or even Model Y, because if it's going to be a hatchback version, people are going to be like, you know what? I want that Tesla, but I'd be totally okay with getting a compact car and spending $15,000 less. So we could see a lot of that Osborne effect going on when we get to the compact car release as well. Now, the difference there is, again, like we talked, you could be seeing a 6 to 12 month lead time. Then people would be like, you know what? I'm not going to be waiting 6 to 12 months for this vehicle. I'll go ahead and get my Model Y and I'll just pay for that. And that's fine, because that was my original plan. So we may see that happen as well. But we will wait and see what happens over time. Either way, in the long run, it's not going to matter, because eventually you get past that Osborne effect and you smooth that all out. It's just a very short-term compaction of demand, and then it pops from there, especially once the demand for the other one in the production catches up to the demand, which with the compact car may take a couple of years. All right, folks, I'm going to head off of here. I got to go get to bed myself. Awesome as usual. I'm not getting my son tomorrow, so I will have a video tomorrow night. Probably will not have on Thursday, but then again, I will be doing a live stream on Friday for you guys. So otherwise, you guys are awesome. Let's see if we can get 14 days in a row of green tomorrow. Let's see what happens with PPI and the FOMC meeting, and we'll be able to discuss that tomorrow night. Have a great one.